Cool.
Okay.
Yep, brilliant.
Hey, welcome to How to Be More Resilient. I'm so excited to be able to chat through this such an important topic with Jasmine Wolfe today. How are you, Jasmine?
Yeah, I'm really well, thank you. Really happy to be on RTV.
Yeah, amazing.
I don't mean RTV, I mean Resilience TV.
I thought you said that then because I'm Northern and you were just trying to talk my talk. So RTV.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I'm really good. Really excited to be having a conversation with you and talking, kind of talking about a little bit about our journeys of resilience and just some things we just kind of want to share, and hopefully we can kind of inspire and support people going forward.
Yeah, perfect. So just before we get into it, what's your definition? What is resilience to you? Do you have a definition for resilience, or what does it mean?
So I think resilience is actually, I mean, there are all sorts of kind of academic kind of definitions, but in kind of plain speak, resilience is actually just being able to go through life's experiences, both good and bad, take things from them, and actually just being able to kind of keep negative stress.
Yeah.
But actually, so you're not staying in that kind of fight or flight kind of way. You're staying in your kind of your positive self.
Yeah.
And actually being able to overcome anything, because as human beings we naturally are resilient. Right now we're in the middle of a pandemic, in the middle of quite a big recession that we've had in years and years and years, but we're all keeping on.
Yeah,
so
no, completely. I love that keeping on. I was listening to. I've just been to the supermarket about 10 minutes before we dialed in, and I was on my way back, and it said, they quoted that in a month's time there's likely to be another 1 million people that are unemployed.
Yeah.
So resilience, whether it's for me, it's around keeping on, exactly like you say. It's dealing with the adversities, but just keeping going and through it, and with strength. So whether that's loss of person, loss of role, loss of her, loss of anything, isn't it? And just not allowing it to affect you as much as some of these things do.
Yeah, very much so, Lee. And I think it's as we go through life and we have experiences, and our experiences kind of broaden, we actually start to we create our kind of like our internal kind of resources, and we find some tools that we actually pull on to help us get through. So when we have those kind of speed wobbles,
yeah,
we can keep going.
Yeah. Perfect. So what are we talking about today? What's occurring?
Yeah. So you know me, Lee. I like a little bit of structure, but we don't have to follow this to the letter. So it's really just a little bit of an outline. Last year I worked and ran a few kind of seminars on resilience and things. So I've just taken some things from that, really. So today, really, I just want to look at demonstrate and analyze our reactions and reflections to being resilient, and looking at some of the wolf pack models, because we are in the wolf community.
Yeah.
And also get the knowledge community. Also how to activate our passion with success. I know we had a bit of a laugh last week when we were recording some things, and people was like, oh, what is keeping your passion, plumping your passion, keeping that alive? So I'm going to talk a little bit about, or hopefully we can talk about how we hone that and keep ourselves on track with that to keep successful. And success means many things, Lee, as I'm sure you're aware. And then how we can embody and develop the hope model. So just a little tips there. And then I know we've both read Angela Duckworth, Growing the Grit. So I've taken some inspirations from that, and actually is how because actually we need experiences. Yeah. Keep our courage, and that's how we keep ourselves going. So
Perfect. No, I love that, and I love some of the models that we're going to be talking through as well today that you're going to be sharing. But I think the thing that that when we spoke a few times in the past, and we've got similarities in our story and what feeds our passion, and the reason why we do what we do now. So I guess I'll go first, as this is the first slide, and then
so what's your story of resilience? What's your story, Lee?
Yeah, so I guess where to start with this really is to ask you a question, Jaz. Have you got a friend that you might not have seen for a day, you might not have seen for a week or a month, but when you get back together, it's like you've never been away?
100%. Yes, I have a couple of friends like that. Yes.
Yeah, amazing. And I've spoken to a whole host of people that can resonate and relate to that type of friendship, and and the person that's on these pictures. So if we just look at the pictures in the bottom left hand corner with the arms in the air, that's me and a chap called Chris.
You look.
I know. I think that's the last recorded photograph of me with her as well, actually.
Yeah, wow, that's kind of heartfelt.
Yeah. so me and Chris were like that, and we grew up together. We were on the same street from the age of 1. We both went to different schools. We had different interests, but we kept coming back together, and we had different paths that we could have taken, but we didn't, and we stayed close throughout. He's my godfather to my youngest, my daughter. He was best man at my wedding as well. So we are really close. And I was working about 2 years ago on a client site in London, and I got a phone call to say that Chris had taken a turn for the worst, and that I should come home. So I was a consultant at the time, and I was working in London, working Monday to Friday. So this was a Wednesday, and I remember the call. I got the call about 10 or 11 in the morning. So I got on the first train I could from London, headed up to Preston, jumped in a black cab at Preston, and headed over to the hospice where he was. And I walked in to see him, and his sister was there, his ex-partner was there, and one of our friends was there. And Chris was lying there, and he looked paler and frailer than he had done just a few days previous when I was last with him at the weekend. And I stayed the night with him that night. So everybody else had been taking in turns staying the night and stuff, because I was working away. I didn't. So I said I would stay the night with him that night, and we chatted through the night. Well, when I say chatted, I spoke at him throughout the night. And at 10 to 8 in the morning, because my breakfast was due at 8 o'clock, after laying on the couch, I decided I needed to have a wash and stuff and just freshen up. So I went into the bathroom, and then on leaving the bathroom, I looked over at Chris, and his chest expanded, and then that was it. There was nothing else, no further breath. And so my best mate, 39 years, had gone, and he'd chosen that moment to go. And I was reflecting over the following weeks about that. I was 39 years old at the time. I wasn't doing what I wanted to do. I was still employed, but I'd always wanted to be a consultant. And Chris said to me, in lead up to his passing, because he was going to come into a little bit of money, extracting his pension and all of these things. He said, "You've always wanted to be a consultant." He says, "Let me give you a few grand and start you off." I turned that down because I didn't want his money. That was the money for his boys and the 2 boys in the trust. But what I had noticed is that his perspective on life had changed completely from being told that he was terminal and that he had a time limit on his life. So what I asked him to really consider for me the 3 things that are the most important to him, or 3 important lessons that he believes that he would share with me. So over the coming weeks, he shared those with me and the stories that go behind each of them. But it's with these 3 lessons that for the last 2 years I've been trying. I'm not there at all, but I'm trying to live these 3 lessons as full as I possibly can, because I think if somebody is on the deathbed and is really ill and considers their life and what is the most important things to them at that point in time, for lessons to be shared with his children, then there's got to be something in these lessons. So the 3 lessons that they are: the first one is always be yourself, and
absolutely.
And I think there's a famous quote, isn't there? Something about always be yourself because everybody else is taken, or something.
Yeah, always be yourself because everyone else is taken. 100%.
Yeah, completely. So over the last 2 years, I've been trying to really understand myself a little bit more. And what I've understood is that actually always being yourself is not just in the outside world and with people you meet. It's also about truly understanding the voice in your head as well, and those limiting beliefs. And
those voices are not meant to argue, though, Lee.
no, they're not.
It's a psychologist's joke.
Have you been inside my head? It's a dark place at times.
Yeah.
So always be yourself, but that's about mastering your mind and also just being true to yourself in all encounters. And the second lesson is about making good friends. So and the reason why Chris said that is because every weekend I would go and see him, or when I could go and see him. And one of our other mates would always ring him up at 12 o'clock when he was on his lunch break, and we had different paths we could have gone. And he says, you never know when you're going to need them. You never know when you're going to need friends. So make sure you choose wisely. And I think that's so important in business and in all relationships. So I think it's make good friends, clients, customers, and everything. Because if you're always yourself, then you're going to naturally attract the right person, and then you've got to foster that relationship. And because it's all about people, isn't it? And then the third lesson. We a couple of weeks before he passed, we had some tickets to go to watch the Foo Fighters at the Etihad Stadium, and on the way back from there, his youngest son asked his mum whether it was too late for his dad to have a tour of Anfield with me and my boy and Chris and his boys. So we ended up a few days later arranging a private tour. It was an amazing day, and on the way back from that, he said, I'm 39 years old now. How many opportunities have we had to do this? And it was the first time that we'd done it. He said, but I was a burden because I was being wheeled round, and I would rather have done it sooner when I didn't have to be wheeled round. So he said, time is limited. So I was reflecting on those lessons after Chris's passing, and like I said, didn't have my own business. I wasn't doing what I wanted to do. So that was really the catalyst for me to go, actually, bloody hell, time is limited. You've got to now start to act now. And so with those lessons, always be yourself, make good friends, and time's limited, those are getting me through. But I also believe that actually it's a secret recipe, I think, and I don't know whether it's just in my head, but I genuinely believe that if you live and breathe those three lessons and truly understand yourself, truly build relationships as much as you possibly can, but then and don't wait until next Monday, the beginning of next month, the beginning of next year to do something, then you're going to be more successful and overcome some of the stuff. And I think that's why those three things resonate so much with me and about my own journey with resilience, because it's by sticking with those that's helped me. So there you go. I'll pause there.
Yeah, thank you, Lee. That's a really, really powerful story, and very touching and very, very heartfelt. And I think I love those three things, and it sounds like those three things have been like key life anchors to actually kind of get you through and help you, as you say, like in your everyday life and also in business as well, and actually doing what you love with those kind of three principles. So yeah, really, really good. And really, means a lot. Yeah, cool.
So who are you, Jaz?
Yeah, that's me. That is me a couple of years ago, actually. It's about 3 years. No, maybe 4 years ago now. So yeah, a little bit older now. Still got my hair. Not that that's a dig at you at all. But pulling it out a few times. My story. So my story is not too dissimilar to yourselves. So if I just go back 9 years ago, I was very happily married, only been married about 3.5 years, to the absolute love of my life. And it was just an ordinary morning, and my husband wasn't actually feeling too well the night before. He was feeling quite tired. Stay home today. I think you need to rest. And he was like, no, I can't, darling. I've got too much to do. And he went to work. Well, I made him his lunch. We had fresh coffee and a bit of a natter and stuff, as we did every single morning. Gave me a hug, gave me a big kiss and said, you know, look after yourself. I love you. Have an amazing day. Yeah. And then he left the house, and I just had a bit of a strange feeling. I just couldn't, I felt, you know, had a kind of a weird feeling that something wasn't quite right. And then I got a call 57 minutes later to say that he had collapsed at work, at his business. And you can imagine my absolute panic that went through me. And I drove like a maniac for 4 miles to where his business was from our home, to be greeted by 2 lots of ambulance, paramedics, you know, goodness knows what, and wasn't able to see my husband. And they said that they were working on him, and I was just in complete disbelief. So and then unfortunately the paramedic came through and said he's gone. And I just refused to believe it. And I was allowed to see him after he'd passed, and I couldn't quite believe that, you know, what I was seeing, what I was feeling. It was like everything was a dream. So I went from being, in 5 years, I went from being single to being married to being widowed. I woke up in the morning being married. An hour later, I was then widowed. Wow. And my life completely, you know, my world kind of was collapsed, basically. And very, I was in a situation where I had to continue to run his business, which was, it was a transport garage MOT business. It was very successful. It was his life's passion. It was his work. He got a real loyal kind of customer base, etc., and was loved and adored by everyone in the community. So he was a real inspiration to people. So and carry on running his business for 2 years. With the help and support of some amazing people, and we kind of like, we kept it all together. And yeah, and it was quite something to kind of like keep it going. And you know, they were a big pair of boots to fill. Yeah. And so, and I certainly couldn't fill them, but we had to keep going. So during that time, Lee, I thought at some point I really want to kind of help support and inspire people. If I can keep going running a business that I knew a lot about but I'd never worked in, there's got to be people out there that I can actually help, support, coach in the future. Yeah. I'd been a teacher for 10 years, had worked and then left teaching and started up a small business just before my late husband passed away. And so I kept the business going, and then I thought, right, one day I'm just gonna kind of help other people. And that is now my life's purpose. And I love one of the, you know, the 3 things that you spoke about. It's really funny, actually, Lee, when you talk about one of the things about time limited. Daniel had an amazing saying. He's always used to say, "Get busy living." Yeah. And I think having that, how can I say, having that kind of motto in life and really embracing all that you want to do. You know, when you were saying, Lee, about like you're in London, you as a consultant, you weren't quite doing what you want to do. Yeah. You know, you've got to live your best life. You've got to live your authentic life. And I think when you have come through, you know, extreme loss and trauma, etc., somehow that amazing kind of life force within us helps us kind of get through. And I still look back and I think, God, how did I run that business for 2 years, manage my own grief and others, and do all that I did? But I really did get busy living. So, you know,
is that the secret? Or is there anything else that you did that kind of, or that helped you? Because is it just as simple as get busy living, keep on keeping on, or is there more to it?
I think, you know, I think you can't underestimate grief, and you can't underestimate kind of loss,
Yeah.
because grief. I remember seeing a video on the BBC News website, and loss and grief and everything is like a big scribble on a page, and but over time, what happens is that page becomes slightly clearer. It might be still blurred around the edges, but I think what it is taking those kind of life lessons. And I think when you have experienced loss and you become more resilient and you come through it, I think you take those life lessons, and I think it makes you fully present in life every day, and to really appreciate every moment. But also, Lee, it also goes back to what you're saying. I had some amazing people around me, and I continue to have fantastic kind of business relationships, family and close friends who I invest a lot in people. My business is people. And I think if you put that out there, you then also get it back as well.
Yeah, completely. What is it that keeps you keeping on?
What is it that keeps me keeping on? Every day I wake up with hope and joy, and I have a sense of duty and a sense of service, Lee. I always feel that I'm in service. I'm in my true kind of, I'm living my true life, my true authentic life, by doing my work and actually helping other people. It sounds a little bit altruistic, but that's just who I am.
Yeah, no, perfect. Good stuff. So, and you mentioned the word hope then, and you wake up with hope. And we're going to talk about hope in a few minutes' time, aren't we?
Yeah.
But what do you mean by dynamic directions?
Yeah, I think when I came up with this last year, and I was thinking about dynamic directions, sometimes when life takes us in an unexpected way, maybe we kind of go down kind of journeys and roads and pathways and things that we don't kind of naturally, we wouldn't have chosen to go down. What happens is, and you find yourself, as I'm saying here, when you see a problem and you're thinking, God, how do I actually approach that problem? And some people, I don't know what you're like, Lee, if you can see something coming, I don't know if you kind of confront it head on, or you hide away from it. I suppose it depends what it is, really. So really, it's just like, if you can see something, I don't really, maybe I should have changed that wording actually. I don't really see there to be problems in life. There's solutions, because there's always a way around things, and that's what makes us resilient as human beings. So it's looking at something in kind of before something happens, or you think something is about to happen, so how you actually manage that, and how you react and respond to things during something. And then also, after something's occurred, it's actually taking those life lessons, and hopefully not letting that happen again, and thinking, God, that's why I was tested, because life is a bit of a test, hey?
Yeah, completely. And so, no, I love that, and I love that. So the last line here, it says, "Do you think all the time?" So I'm a big advocate of whatever goes on in here. So the journey that I've been on for the last 2 years that I spoke about, and always being yourself and mastery of this, is all about. So your thinking drives behaviour. So how you think manifests itself outwardly in your behavior, in your habits and behaviours. So I think if you can before a situation, during a situation, and after, understand what is going on in here, then I think that might also help you overcome some of your limiting beliefs. Because and something that just hit me then, I was helping somebody a few years ago, and they said that they wanted help speaking confidently in front of rooms of people, just their team. And I asked them, I said, before, if your manager was now to walk down and say, 1 o'clock today, you've got to speak at your team meeting, what do you start thinking about? What's going on in your head? And he started saying, he's going, oh, I can't do it. My face will go red. I'll forget all my words and all of this stuff. And I said, is it any wonder that you've got this this thing that you believe that you can't speak out when you're constantly telling yourself that you can't do it. You're going to go red. Your palms are going to go sweaty. Your heart's going to go faster. You're going to forget all of your words. You're building that up in yourself. So when I read this line here, do you think all of the time? And I think people don't necessarily think all of the time, and they just let the thoughts happen, and they try to deal with what's happening in the real world. When I think first and foremost, try to deal with it in here.
Absolutely, yeah. Good luck. Good luck to what's going, understanding what's in my head.
Yes, yeah, no, completely. Because I think he did right. That brings about all sorts of different challenges, and maybe conversations and things that you don't necessarily want to confront.
And it's a really interesting point. And the guy that you were talking about who had limiting beliefs about speaking and things, I think sometimes we just need to, unhelpful thoughts get in the way, unhelpful kind of limiting beliefs. And I think, one thing act that out, just notice it and let it go. It's just, it's NLP, kind of unconscious kind of process.
Yes.
And I think also, Lee, you're right, because you've got to have the right relationship with yourself. Yeah. What's going on in here, and also what's going on in your heart. I think because if you have a good relationship with yourself, then it can only help us have better relationships in all areas of our lives.
Agree. I love that. I've had so we're both business owners, and the key to successful business is is able to make money ultimately and put food on the table. Absolutely. And I've had a fear of asking people for money. I would rather just help people for free. And then I'll cross my fingers, and then money would come. So I've had some coaching and stuff, and it was actually my head that was telling me that I was going to get a negative. If I was going to ask somebody for some money, I would get a negative response back, going, "Oh, it might not be worth it. What makes you credible to be able to do that?" and stuff like. But it's all just the internal dialogue in my head that was preventing me. So I've now kind of had a word with myself, and I'm going through all sorts of different things to actually really understand that if I do say something out loud, it's not going to be a negative response that comes back. It's either going to be a positive one or an opportunity to learn. And just by reframing that as actually it's always going to be a positive thing, or it's going to be an opportunity to learn, which is also positive, and that makes that conversation a lot easier to have for me.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's brilliant. And then it's what you do and what I do, we hopefully influence, inspire and change lives. You wouldn't go into a shop and just take something, would you, without paying for it? So as I said earlier on, we're in service to actually help people and inspire people to have a better life and have a better mindset, and hopefully live a resilient life. So
completely. I love some of your terminology and your words, and we've got a few on here, haven't we? Grow with glow.
I don't know what planet I'm on sometimes. I'm still trying to work it out. I think I get into my flow, and and also kind of working with you, Lee. It's kind of like we kind of get into a flow of having conversations about resilience, and so staying in your fabulous kind of like flow state. So when you've gone through extremely difficult times in life, and you've taken those life lessons, you're having a better relationship with yourself, maybe you're getting some coaching or counseling, whatever is appropriate for you, and you're living the life that you want to live. The aim fabulous flow state, and you get busy living, you've got fantastic kind of relationships, but you might still have a few kind of gremlins, shall we call them, that are actually stopping you glowing. So and actually putting them down Now, all of us kind of grow and kind of learn and reflect in different ways. Are you quite a visual person,
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Completely.
Yeah, so you probably like to see, diagrams or pictures or whatever and stuff, and you probably, think in pictures. I'm a very visual person. So whenever I've got an idea or I want to kind of, a bit like resilience type TV, you and I just had a conversation and said,
Yeah.
let's have a go with resilience TV, and actually let's come up with some themes and see what we can actually do with. So when I want to actually do something that I'm super passionate about, I will order loads of flip chart paper everywhere, put my favourite music on, and I will literally sit on the floor like a child and write lots of diagrams and lots of mind maps and things to actually get the ideas out of my head, and get it onto paper, and then actually start to kind of like grow my glow, if you like. Because I'm there to kind of, I see myself as, someone who likes to help people transform their lives, inspire themselves actually, and grow their own glow, which is why I kind of like came up with this idea. And then once we get out of our own way, as we spoke about before, and actually let go of those kind of unhelpful kind of beliefs, then we can start to kind of flow in the right direction. When you're, as I said last kind of, I think the other week, I was just, if I take this phone here, and I'm constantly pushing for something and it just doesn't seem to be moving, it's like a car that's stuck, I guess, then actually we're not growing, we're not flowing, but we're pushing against the kind of least resistance. When we kind of learn our kind of we take from our life lessons, and we kind of sit back in ourselves, then guess what, people, opportunities and things, and the flow starts to grow, and we kind of, that saying, go with the flow, and then we can actually move forward. So that's simply what I mean, really, Lee.
I love that as well. So I had a session the other week, and with somebody that's helping me. So I think it's important that, so you've said a few minutes ago, that whether you have a coach or a mentor or just friends that help you through different situations, I think it's something important to surround yourself in people that help you. And I had an assumption that I was most creative when I was sad, because which I thought was well interesting. So I didn't. So I thought I was like Adele. So I could only be creative when I'm really sad. But what I established was,
you don't look like Adele.
Thank you. But what I established was that actually, when I am like feeling a little bit low, then I might be sat in this room by myself. I might have my phone out, and I might just be tapping stuff into my phone, or I might just be in this room by myself, and I might just be writing on a whiteboard or something. But when I'm feeling a little bit better or whatever, I'm surrounded by people. So I am still as creative. I'm just expressing it in a slightly different. I'm growing my glow in just in a different way. So I think it's important to recognise about that some people write stuff. Some people. So I'm pointing at the trampoline that's just over there. That I might be putting on voices and pretending to be a wrestler and throwing my little boy. I'm still being creative. I'm just demonstrating it in a slightly different way. So what I've tried this past couple of weeks actually is trying to surround myself that if I have an idea in my head, then I'll write it instantly, because that's what I was doing when I was sad, which made me believe that if I had to be sad to be creative. But what I've proven to myself really is, because I'm writing my next children. I don't think I've mentioned this to you actually. I've written a few children's books, and this is one of them here.
Oh wow, fantastic!
That's one of them
that
there.
Called?
That's called Scruff the Memory Stick, that one. But I've written 4 or 5 children's books that are available on Amazon. And I'm writing my next one now. And I hit a blocker about 6-8 weeks ago, where I just couldn't get past it. But then I created an environment for myself with the support of this coaching that I'm having, and just give me the time to think about this particular thing that I want. And I proved to myself that I don't need to be sad to be creative. I've just got to create the right environment to be creative. And I think that's really important for people who've got to. So you mentioned a couple of minutes ago about it's about sitting on the floor, getting everything out of your head.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
what I was finding was that when I was sad and low, the only way I was getting stuff out of my head just by writing stuff down. And when I was happy, I was getting stuff out of my head, but just in a different way. So it just perceived that my work was better when I was sad, because I was documenting it. I've now got to try to find ways to document stuff when I'm also happy and stuff like that. So
I think they're really, really valid points, and congratulations on being an author of children's book. I think that's fabulous. I'll have to check those out. But also, I think there is something very powerful in loss and sadness, because I didn't realize that I was a really creative person until my husband died. And then I started doing like lots and lots of projects. I kind of completely re-landscaped my garden and made an Italian garden, and then maybe a country cottage garden, and did lots of things, and did lots of creative things that I've never kind of really acted upon. When you were talking to Chris and everything, you was like wanting to go to the stadium and wanting to do all those different things. I think you have to kind of do that. But Lily, I think we'll talk, because I know you shared with me a few weeks ago about that beautiful poem that was from the heart.
Oh yeah, I did. I've forgotten about that one.
So I just thought it's just while we're on key of you writing and stuff, because it's obviously that's one of the things that you love doing. Do you feel able to share that?
Yes. Yeah. No, that's fine. Yeah. No. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. So this was actually we spoke about two of the things that so far in the last half an hour is when I was feeling down a few weeks ago. I sat with myself with my phone and penned this one, but it came off the back of one of the coaching sessions where I realised that the outcome will either be positive or an opportunity to learn, as opposed to being negative. So this was a summary of the journey that I'd been on through the coaching stuff. So it's called the masked smile. So here we go. So people always see me with a smile on my face. However, life really is a long and hilly race. Some days are amazing as you reach a high peak, others closed off and not wanting to speak. How do I explain that sometimes I am sad? What will people really think of me? He's false or he's bad? The voice in my head, it is crippling, I'm stuck. Preventing me, stopping me, it doesn't give a fuck. This week though I learned that these thoughts are not true. I knew this already but hadn't thought it through. If I'm open and share what I think or a concern, the outcome will be positive or an opportunity to learn. The masked smile, I realise it was trying to protect me, when in fact I need to remove it to truly be free. So that's what I wrote, and because
thank you. It's very powerful. I've got goosebumps listening to it. It's really
thank you for prompting me for that one, because I'd completely forgotten about it, and that really is kind of summed up a few things that we spoke about already. About when I'm sad, I write. That's when I wrote that, but also a recognition that I need to always be myself a little bit more, rather than hiding behind a smile. So so thank you for the prompt there, Jaz.
Really powerful. Thank you very much. Thank you. It's amazing. So moving on to, I just call this the Wolf model of resilience, and this really kind of like came about from me kind of like I suppose over the last kind of like 9 years, really, in terms of I've done lots of things in business. I've tried lots of things. Some things have worked really well. I've made some amazing blunders as an entrepreneur, and I've also made some really good moves as well. So I think it's important when we're going through difficult times in our lives. It's important to remember nothing ever stays the same. Do you know what I mean by that, Lee?
So let me, if I explain. So when I was speaking to somebody the other week, and they asked me the same question twice, And I gave a different answer the second time they asked me the question. And I said, why is that? And they said, well, a stream is never the same when you walk through it. And I was like, well, what does that mean? He said, well, imagine walking through the woods, and then you walk through a stream. The water has moved past that. Although you might think that it's the same question and you're the same place in the woods, the water has moved past, which is exactly like you're thinking, because you've been asked a question, and then you've now come up with a load of answers, but then you're thinking the second time you ask the question is built upon your answers from the first one, so you got more knowledge of something. So is that what you mean?
That's a beautiful example, actually. And it's kind of, I think when you're talking about stream, it's like a stream of consciousness. And you know, I think the thing of you know, when you're talking, you know, you and I are just kind of, you know, shooting the breeze right now, you know, and sharing a few life experiences and philosophies and knowledges and observations, really. So I think, you know, that's you know, when you have a reaction to something, the reaction you have when you're looking at the river one moment to like in 5 minutes or 10 minutes might be completely different. If we use the, you know, I think a river is always quite a good metaphor, actually. And on that note, Lee, remind me, is I have actually got an NLP meditation, and it's based on the river and water and leadership, and about going with the flow. So I'll ping that across to you, so anyone that kind of is gets in touch with us can actually have a copy of that. And also on the webinar last week. So that's personally scripted and recorded by myself and a friend of mine who's also helped me script things. So I'll get that across to people. So actually, so it's our kind of reaction to things. And you know, as we get older and wiser, and you know, a few more kind of wrinkles and lumps and bumps and, you know, bumps in the road and everything, we start to kind of approach things in a different way, and hopefully in a positive way. It's like, you know, what lessons can we take from that? And I'm not being a politician when I say that. Lessons will be learned. You know, we have to kind of, you know, every day we wake up, there are lessons around us all of the time. It's whether we choose to notice them or whether we choose to observe them or actually, you know, take from them. So sometimes when we have an extreme situation, and I keep using that kind of term today because obviously at the beginning we've both shared our kind of, you know, some of our kind of, you know, pain and kind of loss, is we actually want to think, God, how can I grow a better life? How can I help others more? How can I help myself more? And you get a different kind of sense of perspective, and you start to then kind of see more opportunities. And when you see more opportunities, there are more opportunities that actually, you know, we're both coaches, Lee, and you know, we have a sense of responsibility to ourselves to be our best selves. And you know, we both work with our own coaches, and actually with a great sense of perspective and a whole kind of barrel of tools and things to help others. So and you know, you've certainly demonstrated quite a lot of those kind of reflections and things today. And then I think once we emerge for something, so I find myself 9 years on, it's nearly the anniversary of my late husband's death next month, and a post popped up yesterday, and it just said that I'd got up at 4:30 in the morning, packed my husband a picnic and everything because he was going on a trip, and I actually accompanied him, and it actually made me really sad, because I generally get quite sad this time of the year, but I'm real, and my friends are like, God, Jaz, it's 9 years on, you know, can you not just like snap out of it? But actually, you know, I am much stronger. I am much more resilient, and he'd definitely be wanting me to live my best life and be really happy. But here I am doing what I love, with passion, with purpose, emerge from that. So, you know, and you can kind of pick yourself up, be reactivated, and I think it's important to kind of I like the word honing. It's important to kind of like tweak and hone, you know, ourselves and life and everything, not continuously, but it's just moving forward and living that, you know, living your best life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
completely. There's a lot of R's on this slide, isn't there? Resilience, reaction,
The
reflection,
three R's:
reactivation, rejuvenation.
reading, writing, and arithmetic.
Yeah.
Remember?
And I think, but these are they're so important, aren't they? And it's kind of reflection is such an important part. And some people, how do you I guess my question is, how do you balance keeping on, get busy living, but with reflection?
I think that's a very, very good question, Lee, and something I feel that I can answer kind of quite fully, because I don't know about you, but when Daniel passed away, I kept very, very, very busy for 2 years because I
Yeah,
didn't have a choice. You know, I had a lot to do. I had a lot of responsibility, not just myself, but other people. So I became a bit too busy. Yeah.
yeah,
And I didn't actually, you know, start grieving until like the third year. So I needed that real downtime to kind of take care of myself, and actually, you know, practice self-care. And I can't emphasize enough, and I, you know, got to take time out, and having a balance of not being too, because I was too busy. Yeah, I was too busy. I didn't take any antidepressants or anything. My things to keep myself going were to run. So I used to
yeah,
run 3 or 4 times a week. I would take homeopathy. I'd have some regular healing and things. I'd cry a lot. I'd hang out with my friends and family, and you know, so a rule to myself, you know, a couple of years ago: to be a successful entrepreneur, you can't do everything. So I think balance of, you must exercise, you must have other kind of like hobbies or interests outside of your work.
yeah,
Yeah. And also have support as well, really key.
yeah, yeah. No, completely. It is about that balance, isn't it? Across
Yeah,
all fronts, across all fronts.
absolutely.
You mentioned before about waking up with hope. Um, what is hope to you?
Hope, no matter what life throws at you, whatever throws at you, there's always hope. And I think sometimes that hope can get, we forget about that model of hope and clinging on to it, especially if we experience kind of depression. I didn't experience kind of full-blown depression in terms of like lying in bed. I would, you know, functionally, I'd keep going. So I'm sure you've heard of functional depression, Lee. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So you kind of, you keep yourself going. But I just knew, there was something inside me that I knew that I've got to keep going, because life is a gift. It's precious, and it's also bloody short. So when I was putting together these slides last year, and I ran this resilience seminar last year, and lots of people in the room were sharing their kind of stories about, you know, what kept them going. I started kind of thinking, I thought it'd be really useful to have is it a mnemonic they call it, Lee, isn't it? Not an acronym, it's a mnemonic of what hope actually stands for. And every day I generally wake up happy. So I kind of try to kind of connect with my joy.
yeah,
Yeah, connecting with my joy. And also thinking, right, what have I got to do today? What are the opportunities? Yeah, how can I make a difference? What is my reason? What is my passion? What's my purpose in life?
yeah,
Yeah. And enthusiasm is infectious, right?
yeah. Completely,
Yeah. So,
completely.
you know, if someone's enthusiastic in the room, you know, it kind of, it all spreads around. So yeah, so that's basically where it came from.
So is that a conscious model that, or is it something that you have, that do you have something to prompt you, or is it just ingrained in you now, this around
Yeah,
waking up happy, recognizing
yeah.
opportunity?
I think it's interesting because when I came up with that just literally, it just came to me.
Yeah.
So it must be something in my subconscious that actually says you are all of these things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Happiness is not a static state either.
Yeah.
You often hear people, Lee, don't you, say, oh, when I'm thin, I'll be happy. When I've traveled to this country, I'll be happy. When I've got my 6-bedroom house, I'll be happy. When I'm driving that car, when I'm married, when I've got the kids and everything, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
The best thing that you can do is right now is actually connect to some joy. Yeah.
Yeah. Love that.
I don't know if do you follow Mel Robbins at all?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Do you follow Mel Robbins at all?
I do. Yeah.
She does the high 4 3 2 1. I think she's writing another book and stuff at the moment, and I think that always, on days I'm kind of like wavering a little bit, I think, okay, you can take action now. That whole thing of when she's been depressed in bed for 3 months, she's lost all her money, and she just kind of like sees the rocket taking off and the countdown. That's I have that vision in my head most days. It's like, right, I've got to get up and I've got to keep going.
Yeah, no, completely, because that talks back to time is limited, doesn't it? That talks back to maximizing all of the available time. And I love the Mel Robbins thing, the 5 4 3 2 1, because that's the shortest period of time to then take action straight after. So no, I love that. I love that. Cool. And this is the slide I've been looking forward to most.
It's funny. I was laughing. This always makes me laugh. It's the peas. I always go along, don't I?
So what do you mean? What do you mean by this?
Plumping a passion. I think when you have something, when you have passion and you have purpose, and they're both intertwined, and life gets in the way, or things, or kind of vectors and things kind of start attacking what your passion and purpose is. I think it's very easy to get deflated. Yeah. So those plumped up cushions, sometimes become deflated. Yeah. So I showed this slide to a friend of mine, and they were like killing themselves laughing, thinking, "What do you mean about that? Do you like you plump your cushions?" So it's a bit like, if we use another word, just it's about kind of honing and tweaking what's important to you. Yeah. Because I think if you keep on track and you keep on keeping on, which is my theme.
Yeah.
You're living the life that you're meant to be living right now. Yeah. And your energy becomes magnified.
Yeah. I really like the phrase, because if you think about the cushion analogy, then that's a process that you've got to continually do.
Yes.
And that's what this is. So it's not just like, okay, you've got passion, you've got purpose. It's about continually going back to that couch and plumping them up. It's about continually working on those things to make sure that both of those things are there consistently. So I like that. That really works for me. That does.
Thank you. Yeah. So grow your grit from the inside out to grow your success with passion. So grit. What do you think I mean by grit, Lee?
So, well, I've read the book. I've read the Angela Duckworth book. But before that, and I heard her speak actually, and for me, grit is another word for resilience.
Yes,
it's another word that kind of, it's about just keeping on, isn't it? It's keeping going, determination. It's about no matter what. It's like squeezing the last bit out of you when you don't feel like it, or gritting gritting your teeth and going for, do you know,
yeah, but we want to go from gritting our teeth to having a smile. I think it's also, I like to think of it as like having you know, good internal structures. Yeah. So if you think about the breath, and you think about, you know, all these kind of meditations and things they talk about, they talk about breathing. Oh, sorry. We're not talking about breathing.
No, that's a different webinar.
But they talk about breathing from the abdomen up through the diaphragm. Yeah. So actually, when you're literally breathing, you know, new life into your ideas, but you've got your structure in place. Yeah, you've got it going on, you know, in your breath. You've got it going on in your head. Yeah, because you know, you have an I can do attitude. Yeah, we can do this. We've got this. Yeah. So that's kind of where that kind of comes from. And then from that, through kind of life experiences, we grow our success, we grow our confidence, don't we?
Yes.
So, you know, and when you feel confident within yourself, yeah, then you're able to kind of, you know, radiate that out to others, and then you can instill confidence as a coach. You know, my job is actually, you know, finding out what people are made of. You know, what are their dreams, you know, where are their boundaries, where are their limits, and actually how we can actually you know, kind of extend those and kind of magnify them. I've been working with a young, well, I say young girl, she's young to me, she's 32. She joined one of my young entrepreneur seminars last year, and she has, in a year, she had an idea in her head. We've taken that seed out. Yeah, and she wrote a business plan. She got £50,000 together. We found premises. We went through all the legal side of things, and she's just opened her first business a month ago in the middle of a recession and a pandemic. And she's, you know, she's got it.
Amazing.
Because she's so passionate about what she does, and I believe in her, and she's showing grit, and she's certainly showing success. I'm super proud of her.
It sounds like you believe in her, but she also believes in herself to actually go through and do and deliver. I mean, that's important.
Yeah, absolutely. So how are we doing on time, Lee? Are we all right? Yeah, okay, cool. So so really, so who am I?
Yeah.
I am the wolf. Some people call me the wolf, some people call me Lady Wolf, some call me Jazz. Anyway, so basically my company is called the Wolf Coaching Organisation. I set up the Wolf Coaching Organisation about 4 years ago, knowing that I'm here to serve. Yeah, and I want to serve, and I continue to serve. Within my business, I help all sorts of people. Yeah, my 3 key areas that I'm working on at the moment, I'm helping expats across the world who are either, you know, having to start new businesses, or maybe they've got a business, or maybe they've lost business. So keeping that resilience going, and actually maybe moving to other countries, etc. So that's quite an intense kind of process. I'm helping adults who are stuck right now, who they are, maybe they've been furloughed and they're about to be made redundant, and actually giving them, I think, Lee, and I'm sure this kind of resonates with you, is I've forgotten what I was going to say now. Yeah, I think what it is, I think as coaches, we have to really keep people grounded, and actually take out those ideas and things that have always been there, and they've not actually maybe able to make those kind of dreams and things become alive. So that's one thing I kind of love doing. So I actually kind of give breakthrough days, which is really fun. So take a seed and then take it through to a business plan and help it emerge. And I work with people on sometimes a 6 months, sometimes a 12 months basis. And then I also work with people on a corporate level. So we take a business model and we create tools and resources, run webinars and seminars, and bring out the new ideas of
Perfect.
What about yourself?
Perfect. So, in fact, just before that, how can people get hold of you?
How can people get? Oh, yeah, that's the other good one, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you can find me on www.jasminewolf.com. You'll find me on my website. Organisation. You can also email me at Lady Wolf Coaching. We'll put a little link in the bottom. Yeah. Instagram, Twitter. I'm on all the platforms basically.
You're everywhere, aren't you? Everywhere. Yeah.
Well, my plan is to actually create a wolf pack community. I'm really. I don't know about you, Lee, but I don't like to think small. I like to think, I like to think big, and I like to think that there's lots of people in this world that will help and, get busy living, as they say. So
yeah, no,
you.
completely.
So what about yourself, Lee?
So
as a change agent?
Yeah, so primarily I work with people in corporate businesses of varying different sizes to, so change in business can be quite a difficult thing to do and to influence. So I primarily work with change leaders of varying different levels and varying different sizes of organisations to improve their confidence and influence to help that change become a success. So using my 15 years as an internal and an external change person, and also weaving in Chris's 3 lessons, I've got a group coaching program that that takes Chris's lessons and my lessons from 15 years of doing this role to help people become more confident and influential and to really deliver successful change in organisations. That's what I love doing, and that's what I love to help other people do as well.
Yeah, and I can see that you do that really, really well. Really inspirationally.
Very kind of you to say, Jaz. Very kind of you to say. So we're coming to the end.
You can pay me a $5 later.
Yeah, I will do. Sure. I will do. We're coming to the end now. This is the final slide. So your closing words, Jaz.
Yeah. So just a couple of things for you to kind of think about is think of something which you would really benefit from sticking to. Yeah. And maybe it's a concept, maybe it's an idea or a business relationship. So anybody out there at the moment that actually they're kind of work, or maybe it's like starting a new business, then actually kind of bring that to the forefront of your mind. And we'd love to kind of help you. Maybe you even want to kind of join us on RTV again, Resilience TV again, and we can help you in some way. And what would it be like to have somebody to help you stay on track and keep that focus and confidence throughout the course of the project? Yeah. And I know, Lee, that actually coaching primarily is about accountability. There are lots of other words. We could sit here all day and talk about it, but it really is about having someone who inspires you and keeps you accountable for what you truly believe, and to really kind of live your best life and live to your best full potential. And then I just came across this little quote just to kind of leave you with, which just feels really kind of apt and really powerful. So resilience is all about being able to overcome the unexpected. Sustainability is about survival. The goal of resilience is to thrive.
I love that.
That's really cool. Thank you.
I love that. No, thank you very much for sharing your models and everything, and your story and everything that you've shared with us today. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I look forward to chatting with you again very soon, Jaz.
Yes, you too, Lee, and thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.